And as we are landing here together and connecting with the land, I would like to introduce a really special person. You already met her a little bit yesterday. This is Lona Ebeltoft. I'm going to say it with my Danish accent.
Lona Beate.
Is that how I sound? Yeah. And Lona is a sea Sami from the very, very north. And she brings a lot of passion for the Sami culture and for the nature-based spirituality that you're carrying. And we've been working together now for some months to create this experience for you. And I want to just say that it's already been so transformative for me to listen to your words. So I'm really, really excited to bring this to all of you. And a little bit more about you. Then you have been working with the Norwegian government for many, many years to be able to protect your people and their ways. And this is also something that we will talk a bit about today. And you're also one of the founders of Nature Folk or Naturfolk, which is a religious-based society to protect the rights of the Sami people.
And it's also to protect all the other indigenous people living on the land and on the basis of their culture and their spirituality, because land is the most sacred thing we have.
And that's probably the main thing that I want to say to introduce you, is I feel Lona is really an embodiment of the land. That you are the landscape. And you're bringing your landscape to us right now. So thank you so much for that. Let's give her a love shower.
So, I find the best way to start giving deep knowledge is always to sing and then tell a story. So I'm going to sing one of these joiks that I did yesterday, I told you. And joik is how the land sings in the north. And humans are there, in my opinion. We are there to give voice to those that have no voice. And land sings, or Mother Earth sings different everywhere. And I'm going to sing my land, and then I'm going to tell you a story so you can. This is an ancient myth. I'm going to invite in these lovely people that's going to, some are going to draw it, some are going to dance it. And I invite the children to join in. Yes. The story is called When the Sun Brought the Reindeers Down to Earth. And a long, long time ago, in the time when the sun was a woman, her name is Päivi, and the moon is called Mannu. At that time, the earth was a good place for all humans, and the sun, Päivi, she looked upon all humans as her own children. She gave them daylight, she kept them warm, and she was very happy with how well her children were thriving on earth. But far, far to the north, there were small groups of people that lived in darkness through parts of the year. These people, they disappeared from her sight, and she could not reach them with her warming sunbeams. And when she finally saw them again, they were weak from the cold and the darkness. And Päivi the sun, she was very worried for these Arctic humans, and she was thinking for a long, long time of how she could help them so they can thrive as the rest of her children here on earth. So she created the most beautiful being, the reindeers, as a gift to her Arctic children. She then sent the reindeers down to earth on one of her sunbeams. And the sunbeam, when it comes from the sun, it becomes the aurora that brings the reindeers down to earth. So they can land safely on the dark and frozen tundra. And together with the reindeers, she sent her own daughter, Päivi Njeda, so her daughter could teach the Sami people how to tame the reindeers, so they could live closely together. The reindeers, they are majestic beings. They are wise and strong. They have thick and hollow fur that can tolerate very cold conditions. Their hooves are wide, so they can walk on snow. And their eyes are reflecting the little daylight there is, so they can see very well in the darkness. If you put a torch out at night on the tundra, you will see eyes glowing back at you. And these are actually the reindeers. They have a bluish tint on their eyes. The noses is like a labyrinth inside, so they can heat the cold air from minus 40 degrees Celsius to plus 40 degrees in just one breath. And on their heads, Päivi created the most beautiful crowns of antlers that stretched towards the sun herself. So all the humans would realize that these special animals are her beings. And since Päivi herself was a woman, she also gave the female reindeers antlers, so they could protect their calves and the food that they found during the long, cold winter, and also protect their babies from predators. And it is the elder females that lead the rest of the reindeers safely from their winter pastures, the high mountains, down to the coastal areas in the summer, and back again in the winter. And still today, the strong reindeer males, they help us pulling our sledges. And the females, they produce the fat milk that is also for us when they give birth to the calves in spring. And the baby reindeers, when they are born, most of them are born with a beautiful reddish color, so they can hide themselves on the tundra. A few of them are born with a white fur. They will be white their whole life, and these are very, very sacred for the Sami people. And when it is time, their bodies will give us nutritious food, and their fur will make warm clothing for the Sami people. The ligaments on the back of the reindeers make the sewing threads, and the bones and the antlers become needles and tools that we can use for handicraft. And everything on their bodies are used, and nothing goes to waste. And this is how high we honor the sacred gift from baby, the sun. And the reindeers, the precious gift from the sun herself, they are still roaming freely and safely on the Arctic tundra, protected by their human allies, the Sami tribes. Thank you.
Thank you for your story.
I think this is one of the best ways to get to know other cultures.
Yeah.
It's sharing those ancient stories and creation myths.
Now I have a few questions for Lona, but we also want to ask if some of the children have a question, maybe you can ask around now. And then I also wanted to just say that in our ceremony yesterday, the last part of the the opening ceremony, where we were actually calling in the directions, and Lona was part of this, we have really tried to make it come to this land. So the people that you saw represented there were Lona from the Sami people, it was 2 Swedish people, and it was also people from the Finnish tradition. So we really tried to give you a container to step into where you feel welcome into the traditions that are here on this land. And that's also a big part of the intention for inviting you to come here. So thank you so much for bringing that.
I'm very honored to be invited.
If there are any questions from the children, then we can just bring it up here and I'm happy to take them. Okay. Great. Good. First, I want to ask you, Lona, how do you sing the land? Because you've been mentioning this a few times, but how do you actually do that?
Well, first of all, we are the land. Everything in our bodies is gifts from the land. And every time I step upon my land, I step on the bodies of my ancestors. And the joik is how the land sings in the north, as I say. And when I sing these joiks, I see my land, I put myself there, I walk on the land, I try to paint the image of the mountains and the ocean, the midnight sun, the aurora. So my singing is a way to paint the land for you guys, so you can imagine how it is up there. And the joik has so many meanings. You can the most beautiful tradition is that a long time ago, when every human used to sing, we knew that every little child that's born comes with their own melody. And the parents, when the child is in the stomach of the mother, she will start to hear this little tune coming, and she will start to hum it. And when the child is born, they will sing these joiks, this special song that this child comes with. They will sing it to the child. It will grow. They will put in words what the child is good at. So when the child is fully grown, he or she or they will have their own joik. And they are not allowed to joik your own joik, because that would be bragging, and we don't brag. But everyone who knows you and loves you, they will honor you with your joik when they meet you. And also if you tell stories and you remember Lona, she has this joik, da, 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 da. And everyone was like, yeah, she was like that. Wow. So even when you're gone, you will still be there.
What a beautiful community celebration that you're really called into being by the people around you and mirrored. It's so beautiful.
We can take that back, huh?
Yeah. I wonder, how would you compare, like if you were to just tell a little bit about the Sami culture, but maybe also compare it to eco-villages, or how you imagine eco-villages to be?
Yeah, the biggest difference, I think, is that where the Nordic tribes, including the Sami tribes, come from, is very far to the north. If you look upon Earth and you turn it around, you see on Earth, there's very few people living this far north. So we have very little fertile earth. The further north you come, the lesser the earth. Where I come from is mostly stone. We don't grow things. We have to be gatherers, hunters, fishermen. And there only a few people can sustain themselves in bigger areas. It's like, yeah, like the predators too, you need a lot of space. So we used to be small groups living together. We knew that every single human, every single being there is equally important, because you cannot survive in the Arctic alone. And you cannot cover all the bases yourself. You need someone who's good at fishing, someone making the clothing, someone singing the song, someone taking care of the spirituality. And you also need someone who can step in there too. So small family groups. And everyone had their special place. There was men's work and women's work. And if you are a woman identifying as a man, you will put on the man clothing, and then you do the man's job. But when you come back into the house, women have certain bodily functions that is special. So for a week every month, you go back to the women, if you are like that. And when you give birth, women give birth to children, so we have our place when we do that. And then we can go back to being a reindeer herder, for example, being a hunter. And the men also, they can step into the woman's clothing. We never mix the clothing. So if you want to be a hunter, you can be that. But you have to be good at it. and I think we are also in a place in time that the families are being dissolved.
Also
And
in the Sami tradition.
also the Sami tradition. People are moving out of the small villages to the cities. We don't have the family around us anymore. And we're also thinking about villages that we can gather our soul family to find our new families. But what keeps us together when we're not in family? That's the most important question that we are working with in the North.
Thank you. I wonder if you also want to tell us a little bit about the history of the Sami people, because knowing that, you haven't been free forever, there's been a lot of layers of oppression. If you just want to tell us a little bit about that so we understand the context that you're coming from.
Yeah. The Nordic tribes, especially the northern ones, there's many different tribes of Sami people also. There are the Finnish tribes. We didn't have any borders in the north. Border is a new thing. And it was actually closed after Second World War, first of all. So we're used to moving freely. Because we are hunter-gatherers, you need to follow the food all the time. And we've been up there for at least 12,000 years. Can you imagine? There's traces of people living in the north for 12,000 years. We never left. DNA tells that it's a continuous line of people, but of course new people have come there. And everything was floating very good up there for at least up until maybe 500-600 years ago. And then the Christian priests discovered that there are some wild people in the north that, that have this crazy wild spirituality. Our spirituality is strong, deep, can be dark in a way, because the further north you come, can you imagine what happened with the spirituality of people when the sun disappears from your land for months? And so we are working also with everything there is, the darker forces. So the priests, when they came up there, they saw these wild people that moved around. We didn't have like proper clothing. And our shamans were using the drums, and it was a sort of a trance spirituality. And when they heard us sing, they say that, this singing, this joik is so ugly, they have to come from the devil. So the witch hunt was crazy up there. Where I come from is a little village on an island on the very tip of Norway. It's called Vardø, Wolf Island. That was the center of the witch hunt, because the Catholic Church thought that devil lived far, far north into the darkness of the winter, and he entered earth up there. So they hunted a lot of my people. Over 100 people were burnt up there in that little community. 1/3 of them were men. So they took out the Sami shamans, the Noidis first, and then the women. And after that, we were under Denmark for 400 years. Ta-ta-da. And that was the time of the kings. And the kings, they want taxes. So for 200-300 years at least, we were taxed by 3 different countries, 3 different kings. The king of Novgorod, the king of Sweden, and the king of Denmark. So we used to be very resourceful. We were hunters, we had furs, we had dried fish, the bacalao fish, that's the Sami tribes. And they took everything away from us. If you were accused for witch hunt, the church will take all your belongings. And they also said that Sami people are not real people. So they are not allowed to own any land. So they took the land away from us. That law that came in the 1800s, it just was lifted in the 1960s. They took our kids away to border schools for a couple of 100 years. The kids didn't speak any Danish, but they were forced. They were not allowed to speak Sami, no parents for like most of the year. So the same story from Native America and Canada and other places also happened with the Scandinavian tribes. The same with the Finnish people, the Kven people. So it was very traumatic, and it was only in the 1980s we started to gather the tribes. We made our own flag. It's a beautiful flag with the colors red, blue, white, and green. No, not white, red, blue, yellow, and green. And we got our own little parliament. So we're not deciding anything. We get some money from the states, different lands, to support our culture and teach our children, relearn the children the Sami language. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lona. And I also just want to honor, the pain there. And there's so much, and also the part that my people have been in taking that on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that all the stories of the Norse people, the Finnish, the Swedish, the Danish, the Germans had the same story, but maybe 500 years before that. So we all share the same pain. My wounds are just a bit more open.
Thank you for sharing, although the wounds are more open. Yeah. I would love to ask you also, from your perspective and from still having a culture that is so deep and so long and still so alive, what can we learn as the eco-villagers? We are a movement of rebellion in some way, a movement of trying to create pockets of something different in a world where we don't feel so much connection, where we don't feel that there's so much care for the land, where we don't... It's in some way a reactionary movement. But what can we learn from you, having actually stayed in many ways connected to your roots? Yeah.
Yeah, we are very lucky, the Sami tribes, because we've been on our land for 12,000 years. It's still there. And I used to say that there's a technology on every part of the land over the world that is built between the people and the land and the plants and animals and the spirits. And that is 1,000 and thousands of years of connection, and it's still there. So wherever you land, wherever you put up the eco-village, there's a technology there, a spiritual technology that you can go into. You can revive that. You don't have to make everything up again. Find the wisdom keepers of the land where you settled. Bring in the elders. Let them tell you the stories. Who were living there? Where do you find the food? What has been there for a long, long time? How are the songs? Make the people that live on that land that you choose for your village to tell you. And then you sit down with the spirits. You map the land. You ask the land, where should we put up our village? And then you ask the land and the spirits, how can we serve you? We are coming here with good intentions. How can we be servants of this land? How can we invite in the animals that live here, the plants that live here? How can we cooperate with the plants so that the earth can be even more fertile? And I think to choose a landscape that will sort of fit the community. And if you are maybe harvesting something that doesn't fit on that land, you should choose another part of the land. Because in the north, we don't try to force Mother Nature to produce things that's not natural there. So I think it's this, to realize that we are beings of the land. And wherever I will put my roots down, I need to put them in the earth where I am. So I need to, if I'm going to move, I also want to find a village. And then I need to relearn everything because my skills in the north will not help me in the south. So I think it's that, and especially the spiritual connection, because nothing is lost. There are beings on the land you choose that is so, so old. Physical beings, the trees, you have mushrooms that can be 3,000 years old. You have people probably there that know the songs. So, and the spirits are eternal. So it's to sit down on the land, connect the spirits, tell who you are. In the Sami ways, it's a personal connection with the spirits. We don't have big ceremonies. We're very few. And it's my, it's my offer is to be there on the land, to sing for the land. I need to do my course with the land almost every day. It's not the shaman or the Nuaidis in the Sami ways. They are the ones who dive to the other dimensions. But every single human are responsible for their connection with the land. So to also prepare for the spiritual ways when you start your eco-village and let the land speak. I'm working on something called, and it's a council for nature. And I think that's an idea to give away too, to put up a council in your eco-village, and then leave some chairs for the trees, for the plants, for the spirits, and put people there that can embody and talk for the spirits. What do the trees think when we're going to put up a field over there? Is it okay for them? Maybe it is. What do the spirits have to say in this matter? So invite in all these forces that is already there.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I think I was sharing that shortly yesterday, in the process of creating a community. And we were in this time of finding a land when I had the first conversation with you, and you were sharing this thing. I was like, this is so beautiful, but how do I actually do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I go there and I sit on the land, and then what should I do? How will the voices come? What should I listen to? But I think you explained it very well right now. Like this thing of also creating a council and being able to...
creating the space. And in the northern tribes, our altars and everything is nature. So our altars are the big stones that seems like trolls that drew them there. Some of them have a spirit living in them. So we have these altars that we know where they are. But also when we travel, we can make space for spirit. So we use normally the reindeer antlers. They are amazing. So we put up a little monument, and then I start to invite in. I give food and drinks, and I sing. And then spirit will come, and I can exchange with spirit. So when I stay there for maybe a week, and when I move, I let the spirit go, I bring the antlers, or I make something else on the next spot. So it's so easy. You don't need anything particular because nature has everything. And you find your way wherever you are.
Thank you. Wow. Do you want to share a bit about this nature village concept? Because I think that's so interesting. We're talking about eco-villages, and Lona is bringing this concept of nature villages.
Yes, because my people are not farmers. So whenever I come across, in the south also, there are a few eco-villages in Norway. And it's all about farming, and I'm totally lost. I cannot grow anything. I'm good with animals, I'm good with humans and children, but these things are not for me, but I'm really good at finding food in nature. And I think that we can see that Europe especially is getting warmer and warmer, and there's less and less fertile earth. And we might want to settle in a forest. We might want to settle on a mountain or on hills where there are not much earth. So there are possible ways to live. Humans have done that for a long time without just farming. I also say that there's a little misconception in Europe, because I was just in Denmark for 14 days, and when I flew over, my heart was crying a lot, because there was no nature left. There was just farms and monocultures, and every tree was on a line. And when I landed, I was a guest in the grandmother's circle, the earth there. And they talked about nature, how much they love to be in nature, walk in nature. And I realized they talked about their gardens. And so I was like, okay, I think we need to make a little conceptual clearing here. So you have nature landscapes. You have nature landscape, and you have farmers and farming landscapes. So nature landscapes is in the north where I come from. When you come there, you will see very little traces of people. You will see pure land, but I will see the pathways that we have walked. I will see where we put up our tents. I will see where our earth houses were. I will see where our people have been praying. I will see where the reindeer paths are. I will see where our fishing boats went out. So I will see all of that, but we didn't make the big imprint. So I think these nature villages is about living in nature, not making those big imprints. Humans somehow needs to fix everything. I had a friend of mine who totally misunderstood the concept. He said that, I think humans are put on earth to put everything in order. And I was like, because nature did that. We humans, we are sort of making a mess because we need to sort everything, name everything, put everything online. And I think that the people who put their heart and their trust in nature and use nature as a compass, there's a lot of us too. And to live in these nature villages, I think that is a concept that I could thrive in at least, and maybe more people would love that.
Yeah, I wonder how we can integrate that more into our eco-villages that are all over Europe. Like this idea of also land protection and how to actually, do you want to talk a bit about that? How do you think we can bring that to our eco-villages?
The eco-village, I think, is, on the old days, there were houses and fields. But what if you put up other houses a bit further away from each other, a bit further into nature, where those people can live? The people that needs to have nature around them, so that they can be protectors in the forest or on the hills that still are connected to the village. That's one way. I started up a new religious society in Norway. We are just waiting for the acknowledgement from the government. That's called nature people, because it's in Norwegian it's called naturfolk, and indigenous people is called urfolk. So it's just bringing more people into the indigenous frame and protection. And that is to hack the matrix of the government, because the government, you cannot, if you are environmentalist protector, you cannot get any conversation, or you cannot enter the government. They are like closing the doors. You can stand outside and bang on the doors and yell, but they will not listen. But they have one concept called religious protection. And for me, that's a back door. So if we get that acknowledgement, the governments have vowed to protect people's religious rights to do their religious ceremonies. And as indigenous people of the land, our mountains are the most sacred thing we have. We have sacred lakes that is, well, the story of the mountain is that our heaven is not in heaven. Our heaven is inside the sacred mountain. Almost the same as the Buddhists have, I realized suddenly. And our sacred mountains, when you die, you go in there. Everything is warm, good. Your friends are there. Animals are there. And there are some entrances you can enter the mountain alive to. And some of them are these sacred lakes that are this upcome of water. If you're very brave, you can dive down there. There will be a double bottom. and you can go and enter the mountain from there. And also the river that flows from there is sacred for real. And in the governments today, there's a protection of ancient religious sites. There's a little protection. So if there's a road being made, they will think about it and then do it anyhow. But if it's used today in religious ceremony, in a religious society that is acknowledged by the government, there's a lot stronger protection. So this is the way, in Norway at least, we're going to protect the sacred mountain, the river that feeds all the people there, the sacred lake. So this is one of the ways to hack the matrix, because I think we're not people who fight. We're not warriors like that. We need to fight in our ways. We need to find the ways in to talk, because I always say that the system is faceless and rootless, and it rolls. It has its rules, but inside the system there's a lot of good human beings. So it's to get the entrance there, so we can use our warm, loving ways to protect what is dear to us. So this way of having ceremonies on the land will also protect the land for the governments.
How do you think that we can support you as the Sami people in the eco-village movement more? How can we create more synergies also between us?
The most important way for Mother Earth, at least, is to stay on the land, honor the keepers of the land where you land your eco-village, cooperate with the keepers of the land, the people that live there, draw them into the village, make them come and tell the stories, teach you the songs, tell them that you are there to be allies, and honor the story of the land where you land, and then we can exchange. I think it's important that we share and move around, because it's our job to protect our land. And for us, what's the most important thing, I'm going to talk about it in another talk too, is that Europe needs a lot of energy, and these wind turbines are the new thing. And they look upon northern parts of Scandinavia as nowhere land that anyone can come and use. So I think there's thousands and thousands of wind turbines now in the making. They want to put them on the sacred mountains, and they destroy a lot of land. Where I come from, the tallest point, it's tundra there. The tallest point is 150 meters. They want to put up wind turbines there that is 350 meters. That will change the whole profile of my land and the landscape. They want to put them on the ocean, like wind turbines on the ocean. Can you imagine every being alive in the ocean are navigating by vibration? And what happens if you put on these crazy big things that put vibration everywhere? The whales, the seals, the fish. It's so I need help that the green agenda is not necessarily nature friendly. And yeah, so it's about getting your senses back about what is money economy, because the only one who make money on this or make good things on this are the people who make the wind turbines and the people who put them up. We don't get any electricity from there. We put all our rivers almost in pipes, and that will feed the whole country with energy. And now they want to put up like TikTok data storage and things like that. So I think this common sense that good humans have, and also to degrade a little bit of our how much we use. So Germany, is one of the biggest, the people who need the most of the energy. So they are the biggest behind the wind turbine industry. So we need everyone to put it down on earth and say that's not a good thing, because it's covering this black agenda is covering under the green. It's green painted. So it's all about being honest about what's going on. So to protect the lands, we need help with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear more from Lona, then she's going to have a workshop in here right after this session. So there's a half an hour break, but then it will happen. And also, Lona will be there for the open space on Friday, which is all about activism. And we'll bring in the topic of activism and the Sami people and how we can support and how we can also create synergies between the movement and your movement. Thank you so, so much, Lona, for bringing your heart and bringing your landscape and bringing all your wisdom that you're carrying and sharing it with us. We're so grateful for you to be here.
Thank you.